Recently, we've uncovered some additional historic assays that we weren't previously aware of. And when we overlay that information with the completion of the 200 and 300 series holes we've recently drilled in our most recent campaign, a big one, we're discovering intercepts of 34 metres at 1.5% copper. There's an exceptional intercept there of 21 metres at 2.25% copper. Now, at those percentages, they're incredibly economic. And what we think the information now confirms for us that we are sitting on top of a high-grade copper system. Before we understood that there was pockets of high-grade ore, this is now giving us scale. I've spoken before about this halo. A number of deposits of this nature normally have have some mineralisation in the halo. We're finding that our halo is actually very high in mineralisation, which again speaks to economic quantities. What we've basically discovered in these historical records with the assay results, I mean, one, they've found copper, so that's exciting. Two, I didn't have to pay $500,000 Aussie or $1 million Aussie to go off and do the drilling to verify these results or to find these results. So that's a free kick as far as I'm concerned. That's brilliant. When I grab that data set and I then slot it into my three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle that I keep talking about, I've just coloured in a big chunk of it, which again goes back to that word that I keep using, scale. If we didn't have this information, we probably would have come across this eventually, but we've got there a lot quicker than we would have done and at a lot less cost. Our next steps for Big One is something called an IP survey or induced polarization survey. Look, I'm not a geophysicist. They basically put some probes into the ground, run a chart through, and what they're looking for is resistance that suggests or confirms copper mineralisation. That will then basically colour in even further detail what the ore body looks like and to what sort of percentages we might be dealing with. Now, once we've got that, we overlay that data set with the 200 series, with the 300 series, with this most recent discovery of the historical assays, with the older discovery of the historical assays that first brought us to Big One. And then my three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle takes some shape. We're going to go back and complete the drilling at Big One. We will probably have a rethink about exactly what we do. We'll probably change the angle of attack. I've mentioned before to some people that it's a little unusual. We're discovering, we suspected it, but now we've discovered that the mineralisation is quite vertical. So we'll understanding that now, we'll probably change the angle of attack on some of the holes. We'll probably change the depth on them. We might convert from RC over to diamond drilling or the core drilling earlier than we anticipated. The clever people in Dark room will come up with some recommendations for me, and I'll consider those. But we've certainly got a lot to mull over in the next couple of months. The Mount Oxide area is known to contain copper for some time. Look, we've focused on the Big One deposit because we knew there was pockets of high-grade copper mineralisation there. And certainly in the last several months, I've done a lot of talking about what we're finding at Big One. And also the jewel in the crown of our ARIA prospect that we're hopefully going to get to as soon as we can get back the jewels in the ground Q1, Q2 this year. Just speaking of ARIA alone, it's a massive sulfide anomaly, 1.5 kilometres long by 450 metres wide by 130 metres thick. I mean, if that comes off to be copper mineralisation, that's, someone mentioned to me once, it's probably the second largest copper discovery in Queensland. Putting all the excitement of Big One to one side, putting all the excitement around what might be there for us in ARIA, we have in the Mount Oxide tenement area that we have another 8 prospects that quite simply we haven't got to. We simply haven't got the time or resources, and what we're finding at Big One is just too salacious for us to take the eye off the ball to spread ourselves even thinner. So it's really biggest bang for the buck for the shareholders to get shareholder value is probably look at getting some mining operation up and running at Big One whilst we proceed to explore the other prospects.